Well, here we go. May 10th. Today's social climate, May 10th, 2026. And I'm just going to do a little short video today about what's going on in the world. Well, as we discussed the last couple videos, this is COVID 2.0. I hate to keep repeating myself, and I probably need to come up with some new material to talk about, but this is what I talked about in the first video. I should have like a segment of these videos. I should have done like a segment or a series of 3 videos which encompasses the COVID 2.0 scenario that's going on in the Middle East and how it's going to affect the entire planet. This is by design. This is all by design. You think that these things just happen in a vacuum and that these, that nuclear weapons, the nuclear material, the material that the Iran had was the main cause of this war. I mean, who believes that anymore? I mean, that is so ridiculous. I mean, we had that same bullshit excuse presented to the American people and the rest of the planet back in 2003 or 4 when George Bush went into Iraq for weapons of mass destruction. So the official narrative, the official bullshit narrative that the Trump administration is touting to the rest of the world is complete idiocy. That is not the reason why this war is happening. They want to cut global oil supplies to create enough economic pain. Then they want to reopen the straits at their choosing and then print trillions of dollars or currency units, because this is global, currency units around the planet to thwart the crisis. This is the Ponzi scheme that we're involved with, the fiat monetary Ponzi scheme. And this has continued for 50, 60 years, particularly when Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, I believe. So that's it in a nutshell. Oil prices are really low. I mean, this is completely being managed at this point in time, thus far. But at some point, when shortages inevitably occur, when the shortages make mainstream headlines, which they still haven't. I mean, have you noticed that too? You don't hear anything about in the mainstream headlines about oil shortages yet, even though they're occurring in smaller countries. But when this becomes rather large, you will hear about these headlines and you will see the stock market correct by about 20 to 30%, I believe. And there's a lot of opportunity on all this. You got opportunities in shorting the stock market at some point in time. You got opportunities in going long the stock market when they announce an inevitable reopening of the straits and an inevitable cash cow of a cash heist, a trillions of currency units being created around the world. I mean, you're going to have opportunities out the ass to invest. So I don't know. I mean, this is speculation on my behalf. I think personally, let's go ahead and just guess with all this stuff. But I think when Donald Trump goes over there to meet with Xi next week, we're gonna see some sort of resolution to this strait being closed shortly thereafter, because I think Xi, who's basically the new emperor of the world. I mean, I don't think the U.S. is the empire of the world anymore, the global dominant empire. I think the Chinese are the global dominant empire. And I mean, let's look at it from this point of view. The U.S. did not invest in hard assets for 50 years because our pride and our hubris told you talk about the fall of an empire. It just created a scenario where the U.S. became lazy, complacent, and stupid, fat and happy and stupid, to where we thought Our arrogance thought that we could not go around and gobble up natural resources all around the planet for the last 50 years. I mean, talk about the pride and stupidity and the hubris of the United States of America for not doing that for the last 50 years. But the Chinese have been doing this for the last 50 years. They've been going around the globe, gobbling up diamond mines, gold mines, oil and gas wells, and resources, copper, iron ore. I mean, they've been making moves as far as buying up natural resources around the planet for the last 50 years, while the U.S. sat on their ass doing nothing because of the arrogance, the sheer arrogance of the United States of America. But now the United States of America is realizing that we are in trouble and that we need to go out there, even if we have to break the rule of law and gobble up some natural resources of our own to compete with the Chinese. So my point is, I think the Chinese are now the global dominant empire of the planet, and the U.S. is looking. I didn't know this before the war, but after watching the complete failure of the United States military in the Middle East there, we don't look that strong. The United States military looks like it got its ass handed to it. I mean, the defense stocks in the U.S. aren't doing well. I mean, they create bombs. We're really good at bombing other countries. We're really good at stealth bombers at high elevations, bombing the hell out of countries. We're good at that, and we have good weaponry. But there's a new form of warfare that's occurring around the planet. I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but it's called drone warfare. It's called unmanned vehicles and all sorts of military equipment. It's no longer about aircraft carriers, these antiquated dinosaurs called aircraft carriers, and these big destroyers that are big sitting targets in the sea that can be droned to death. I mean, did you notice that the aircraft carriers that the U.S. brought into the sea over there next to Iran, they pulled them out of there because they knew they were going to get bombed the hell out of? And there were a couple bombs that landed into these carriers. I mean, you got to use your brain. I mean, one of them caught fire during the war in the laundry department. I mean, come on, who believes that? So the U.S. military is sort of antiquated. It's a military. It was a modern day military from 40, 50 years ago, and it was a dominant military. But we haven't kept pace with the times. We haven't kept pace with drone technology. I mean, all of these bases in the Middle East that the U.S. they've been bombed to smithereens by the Iranians because they have $40,000 drones coming into these bases, and the U.S. military bases, they can't defend against it, and they get hit by these drones, these $40,000 drones. And it's incredible, but it's a fact of reality. So I'm under the opinion that the U.S., again, because of its pride and its hubris and its arrogance, got lackadaisical the same way that we didn't go around the planet gobbling up natural resources. Well, we didn't modernize our military. We kept things in the status quo. We kept the same structure of the military that we've been using for the last 50 years. And the military leaders, they haven't been able to keep up with the times because they're prideful and they're arrogant and they're cocky and they're full of themselves. But they're realizing the Iranians are doing a hell of a job over there, wreaking havoc on us. So it's time for the U.S. to modernize, and we go back to China. How did the Iranians become so powerful? And even Trump said this. He was shocked about the ability of the Iranians to fight back so well. Trump said this. He says he thought it was going to be a piece of cake, but apparently not. Apparently, I don't even think the U.S. won this war. But where did the Iranians get all this technology? Who's Iran allied with? China. So you got to think the Chinese are they have the biggest manufacturing in the planet belongs to the Chinese. Much like we had the largest manufacturing base during World War II. And so now you have the tables flipped. Now you got the Chinese that create all this stuff. AI, robots, drone technology, and all that. And then they share it with their allies, Iran, and probably Russia, and whoever else is allied with the Chinese. And then the Iranians use it against us in this war. They blow up a bunch of our military bases with this technology. So I think that the pride and arrogance of the U.S. has caused it to fall behind. And you're seeing this. So the U.S. is kind of desperate right now. We're trying to modernize our military, and we probably will be able to do it to a certain extent. On the fly, we're trying to get more drone technology now. We're trying to get all this stuff going because we realize, whoa, we're way behind. It's like the tortoise and the hare. The hare is the U.S. was way ahead of the pack, and now it got lazy and lackadaisical, and it fell much, much further behind, and the rest of the world caught up, and some of the countries have even surpassed the military capabilities of the U.S. And so now the U.S. is trying to catch up. And the U.S. is trying to catch up on going around the world gobbling up natural resources. You know, they went into Venezuela, they're breaking the rule of law, the global rule of law, they're going to bomb other nations, they got to do whatever they got to do to hurry up and get back the power that they lost by being lazy for the last 50, 60 years, by being cocky and arrogant and stupid. So now you have a desperate situation where the U.S. is really trying to hurry up and get back in the game because they realize they've screwed up, and Donald Trump is the guy that's going to do that. So as we look at the scenario, I think when Trump meets with China, the Chinese premier over there, full circle now, I think the end of this Iranian conflict will be sometime around that time, or maybe a week or so after that. I think Xi is going to put it straight to Trump that he needs to end this shit, and I think Trump is going to agree to that. And the Chinese are probably going to talk to the Iranians, and we're probably going to see some conclusion to this this disaster of a war over there, probably in the coming week or two. In which case, we'll see the stock market rebound. Then we'll see the stock market crash because of the economic chaos that will ensue because of the fact that the oil has been cut off for the last 2 or 3 months. And then we'll see an economic recovery in the fall, I'm predicting. These are all speculations. I'm throwing this out here, and I have some evidence, just logic, common sense, to discern what is going on out there. And you got the Ponzi scheme, you got the desire for the central banking community to continue this Ponzi scheme. You got the U.S. and the Chinese and all these big major countries that are kind of in cahoots together, have an agenda to continue this Ponzi scheme because they're benefiting greatly from it. And you're going to see this all coalesce, come together, and a resolution to this issue, this serious disaster in the Middle East will occur within the next week or two, probably after the Trump-Xi summit. And you'll continue to see the U.S. exerting its what power it has left to gobble up natural resources around the planet to kind of keep pace with the Chinese, even though the Chinese are like way ahead of us now. And that's what we're going to see. So invest accordingly. I mean, I think the market could go up, it could go down, and it's probably going to be a sustained recovery sometime in the fall. With that said, a long-winded discussion about a lot of what we've talked about before, but maybe some enlightenment on the military capabilities of the United States of America and some of the lackadaisical standards in the U.S. military. Again, I think the U.S. military is so outdated. I don't think we need to have this giant bloated military budget anymore. I think we could easily cut the Army, cut a lot of military members, probably in half or by 2/3, and just have unmanned drones, unmanned vehicles, tech-heavy military with special forces to do extractions and go in and do the special force type thing. We still need to have those warriors, and we still need to have an air force where we bomb people. But I think that the military is so antiquated. It's such an old blueprint for how to do things. It's it's so done. I mean, the million man army and the big giant armies, that's done. I mean, you got drones and you got unmanned vehicles and drone. I mean, it's not necessary anymore. All you need is special forces, air force, and unmanned drones. That's all you need. Period. End of story. And AI technology and missiles. That's all you need. You don't need a big giant army. And you got to have a navy too. But you probably could cut the United States military in half at least and save a bunch of money to where we probably could have some socialized healthcare in this country, because right now we have a socialized military. But that's a long story too. Anyway, good to be with you. Have a nice week. We'll talk more investing next week in particular sectors. I know I've kind of drifted off on this stupid war and gotten off track quite a bit lately, but I'll try to get back into some company-specific investments next week, and where I see some good opportunities out there. Until then, I'll talk to you later.